Hello, my name is Trey Gaines, and in this presentation, I will be discussing wired versus wireless in ITT-370 wireless network. Next, I would like to talk about the difference between wired and wireless networks. A wired network allows devices to stay connected to the network but roam untethered to any wires. Access points amplify Wi-Fi signals, so a device can be far from a router but still be connected to the network. When you connect to a Wi-Fi hotspot at a cafe, a hotel, an airport lounge, or another public place, you're connecting to the business wireless network. A wired network uses cables to connect devices such as laptop or desktop computers to the internet or another network. A wired network has some disadvantages. When compared to a wireless network, the biggest disadvantage is that your device is tethered to a router. The most common wired networks use cables connected at one end to an Ethernet port on the network router and at the other end to a computer or other device. I've included a side-by-side comparison list. The OSI model, or Open System Interconnection Model, is a conceptual framework used to describe the functions of a network system. The OSI model characterizes computing functions into a universal set of rules and requirements in order to support interoperability between different products and software. In the OSI reference model, the communication between a computing system are split into 7 different abstract layers. Physical layer. The lowest layer of the OSI model is concerned with electrically or optically transmitting raw, unstructured data bits across the network from the physical layer of the sending device to the physical layer of the receiving device. It can include specifications such as voltage, pin layout, cabling, and radio frequency. At the physical layer, one might find physical resources such as network hubs, cabling, repeaters, network adapters, or modems. Data link layer. At the data link layer, directly connected nodes are used to perform node-to-node data transfer, where data is packaged into frames. The data link layer also corrects errors that may have occurred at the physical layer. Network layer. The network layer is responsible for receiving frames from the data link layer and delivering them to their intended destination based on the addresses contained inside the frame. The network layer finds the destination by using logical addresses such as Internet Protocol. At this layer, routers are a crucial component used to literally route information where it needs to go between networks. Transport layer. The transport layer manages the delivery and error checking of data packets. It regulates the size, sequencing, and ultimately the transfer of data between systems and hosts. One of the most common examples of the transport layer is TCP, or the Transmission Control Protocol. Session layer. The session layer controls the conversation between different computers. A session or connection between machines is set up, managed, and terminated at layer 5. Session layer services also include authentication and reconnection. Presentation layer. The presentation layer formats or translates data for the application layer based on the syntax or semantics that the application accepts. Because of this, it at times also calls the syntax layer. This layer can also handle the encryption and decryption required by the application layer. Last, application layer. At this layer, both the end user and the application layer interacts directly with the software application. This layer sees network services provided to the end user applications such as a web browser or Office 365. The application layer identifies communication partners, resource availability, and synchronizes communication. Relationship between a data link layer and a physical layer in an OSI model. The physical and data link layers of the network protocol stack together define a machine network interface. From a software perspective, the network interface defines how the Ethernet device driver gets packaged from or to the network. The physical layer describes the way data is actually transmitted on the network medium. The data link layer defines how these streams of bits are put together into manageable chunks of data. When comparing wired versus wireless network security, securing a wireless network is even more important than securing a wired network because it does not require physical access to a network jack or cable. Wireless networks use radio transmission to carry data between end user and the network. As it is difficult to contain those radio waves, it's possible for someone to sit in your office building's lobby or parking lot and eavesdrop on wireless network communication. The answer to this problem is to use strong encryption to protect data transmitted over a wireless network. Encryption uses ciphers to scramble the data sent between the end user and computer and the network in such a way that it is indecipherable to anyone other than the legitimate end user. Wi-Fi Protection Access, or WPA, is the modern standard for wireless encryption. It is absolutely critical that WPA encryption is used on enterprise networks, as hackers have demonstrated significant vulnerabilities in the previous recommended wired equivalent privacy, or WEP, algorithm that rendered it completely useless from a security perspective. What are the risks to your wireless network? In today's connected world, almost everyone has at least one internet-connected device. With the number of these devices on the rise, it is important to implement a security strategy to minimize their potential for exploitation. Whether it's your home or business network, the risks to an unsecured wireless network are the same. Some of these risks include war driving. This is a specific kind of piggybacking. Broadcast range of a wireless access point can make internet connection available outside your home, even as far away as your street. Savvy computer users know this, and some have made a hobby out of driving through cities and neighborhoods with a wireless equipped computer, sometimes with a powerful antenna, searching for unsecured wireless network. This practice is known as war driving. Evil twin attacks. In an evil twin attack, an adversary gathers information about a public network access point, then sets up their system to impersonate it. The adversary uses a broadcast signal stronger than the one generated by the legitimate access point. Then, unsuspected user connect using the strong signal. Because this victim is connecting to the internet through the attacker system, it's easy for the attacker to use specialized tools to read any data the victim sends over the internet. This data may include credit card numbers, username, and password combinations. other personal information. Always confirm the name and password of a public Wi-Fi hotspot prior to use. This will ensure you are connected to a trusted access point. Wireless sniffing. Many public access points are not secured and the traffic they carry is not encrypted. This can put your sensitive communication or transaction at risk. Because your connection is being transmitted in the clear, malicious actors could use sniffing tools to obtain sensitive information such as password, credit card numbers. Ensure that all the access points you connect to use at least WPA2 encryption. Piggybacking. If you fail to secure your wireless network, anyone with a wireless-enabled computer in range of your access point can use your connection. The typical indoor broadcast range of an access point is about 150 to 300 feet. Outdoors, this range may extend as far as 1,000 feet. So, if your neighborhood is closely settled, or if you live in an apartment or condo, failure to secure your wireless network could open your internet connection to many unintended users. These users may be able to conduct illegal activity, monitor and capture your web traffic, or steal personal files. And lastly, theft of mobile devices. Not all attackers rely on gaining access to your data via wireless means. By physically stealing your device, attackers could have unrestricted access to all of this data, as well as any connected cloud accounts. Taking measures to protect your devices from loss or theft is important. But should the worst happen, a little preparation may protect the data inside. Most mobile devices include laptops, computers, now have the ability to fully encrypt their stored data, making these devices useless to attackers who cannot provide the proper password or personal identification PIN. In addition to encrypting device content, it is also advisable to configure your device applications to request login information before allowing access to any cloud-based information. Last, individually encrypted or password-protected files that contain personal or sensitive information. This will afford yet another layer of protection in the event an attacker is able to gain access to your device. Steps you can take to minimize the risk to your wireless network. Step 1. Change default passwords. Most network devices, including wireless access points, are pre-configured with default administrator passwords to simplify setup. These default passwords are easily available to obtain online and so provide only marginal protection. Changing default password makes it harder for attackers to access a device. Use and periodic changing of complex passwords is your first line of defense in protecting your device. Step 2. Restrict access. Only allow authorized users to access your network. Each piece of hardware connected to your network has a media access control or MAC address. You can restrict access to your network by filtering these MAC addresses. Consult your user documentation for specific information about enabling these features. You can also utilize the guest account, which is a widely used feature on many wireless routers. This feature allows you to grant wireless access to guests on separate wireless channels with a separate password while maintaining the privacy of your primary credentials. Step 3. Encrypt the data on your network. Encrypting your wireless data prevents anyone who might be able to access your network from viewing it. There are several encryption protocols available to provide this protection. Wi-Fi Protected Access, or WPA, WPA2, and WPA3, encrypted information being transmitted between wireless routers and wireless devices. WPA3 is currently the strongest encryption. WPA and WPA2 are still available. However, it is advisable to use equipment that specifically support WPA3, as using the other protocols could leave your network open to exploitation. Step 4. Protect your service set identifier. To prevent outsiders from easily accessing your network, avoid publicizing your SSID. All Wi-Fi routers allow users to protect their device SSID, which makes it more difficult for attackers to find a network. At the very least, change your SSID to something unique. Leaving it as the manufacturer's default could allow potential attackers to identify the type of router and possibly exploit any known vulnerabilities. Step 5. Connect using a virtual private network, or VPN. Many companies and organizations have VPN. VPNs allow employees to connect securely to their network when away from the office. VPNs encrypt connections at the sending and receiving ends and keep out traffic that is not properly encrypted. If a VPN is available to you, make sure you log onto it anytime you need to use public wireless access point. Step 6. Install a firewall. Consider installing a firewall directly on your wireless device, as well as on your home network. Hackers who can directly tap into your wireless network may be able to get into your network firewall. A host-based firewall will add a layer of protection to the data on your computer. Step 7. Maintain antivirus software. Install antivirus software and keep your virus definitions up to date. Many antivirus programs also have additional features that detect or protect against spyware and adware. How to mitigate the best security practices for your wireless network. Develop institution-wide policies with detailed procedures regarding wireless devices and usage. Maintain these policies and procedures to keep current with technology and trends. While each institution will have specific requirements, at a minimum, require the registration of all wireless networks as a part of overall security strategy. And because a policy isn't effective if users aren't in compliance, monitor the network to ensure that users are following the policies as intended. This concludes my presentation for wired versus wireless networks.